Just moving things into position, apart from people. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all here. I shall now read out what I usually read out at this time. Right. Good evening, and a warm welcome to the Rushcliffe Borough Council's annual council meeting. This is a particularly special meeting as Rushcliffe Borough Council is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. And I would like to welcome past mayors, freemen, leaders of the council and chief executives, with a special mention to Mike Cox. I'm not quite sure where he is, but he gets a special. Hi, Mike. Nice to see you. Who was a councillor in 1974, and former employee Wendy Pembleton, who is somewhere there too. Oh, yes, at the back as well. Who now lives in New Zealand. You haven't come just for this, though, I don't think, but you never know. But has returned for a visit and is joining us this evening. I would like to remind everyone that the meeting is being live streamed on YouTube. A recording of the meeting will be available afterwards on the council's YouTube channel. In addition, under the local authority's executive arrangements, meetings and access to information, England, regulations 2012, other people may film, record, post on social media or blog from this meeting. The use of any such images or sound recordings is not under the council's control. Any councillor who wishes to speak should raise their hand and your request will be noted. You will be asked to speak in turn by me, and then you may turn on your microphone. Once you have finished speaking, would you please turn off your microphone? In respect of voting, when asked by me, councillors should raise their hand to indicate how they wish to vote. If a roll call is requested, councillors' names will be called out alphabetically by the monitoring officer. Please confirm your vote by saying for, against, or abstain. A councillor may raise a point of order or make a personal explanation at any time by raising their hand, and I will hear them immediately, and my ruling on the matter will be final. Thank you. Right, we'll start the meeting. There's now going to be a moment of reflection, and I would like to invite Gwyneth Owen and Dr. Jill Langridge from the Rushcliffe Dementia Communication and Support Project to lead us in a moment of reflection. Okay, you're all right with the microphone.
Good evening. My name is Gwyneth Owen, and over these last 2 years, I've been leading a project in Rushcliffe, focusing on the support we offer people living with dementia and their families and carers.
And I'm Jill Langridge, and I've been working alongside Gwyneth on the project. So I want to start by setting the scene with some stark facts and figures. A recent report from the Alzheimer's Society suggests that 1 in 3 people born in the UK today will develop dementia in their lifetime. And it's estimated that 1 in 3 people will care for someone with dementia. The economic burden of this condition is huge, estimated to be around 23 billion and likely to triple by 2040. And it's worth noting that this figure is more than that for cancer, heart disease and stroke.
So let's go back to that 1 in 3. Picture that in the context of this room as you look around. Look at the colleagues around you, 1 in 3. Picture your neighbours on your street, 1 in 3. Your friends you might go out for a quick drink with, 1 in 3. Your family members. Dementia is a reality, and it's likely that the lives of every one of us will be impacted in some way. This is why the work that we've been doing is so important.
Our overarching vision is that people living with dementia are empowered to live well and with purpose, to live independently for as long as possible, and to feel they are valued members of their community. Furthermore, we want their carers and families to feel fully supported and informed. We want to reduce the stigma that people experience and to nurture a culture of inclusivity, kindness, and patience.
Now I'm going to ask you to use your imagination. Imagine knowing where to signpost people to local support and resources.
And the reality? We've developed a comprehensive local dementia directory, which is available in both digital and paper format. It includes information and advice about local services, community groups, and a wide range of useful resources.
Imagine being able to confidently go to the GP with concerns about your memory.
And the reality? We've worked with our local GP practices and healthcare teams to raise awareness of the needs of people living with dementia and their carers. We've provided dementia friends and carers awareness training and advised them on how their premises can be made dementia friendly. We're currently developing an improved offer for people having their annual dementia review and establishing a network of carers champions across our practices.
And imagine a local network of organisations and services and community volunteers all working together to make change happen.
And the reality is we've built that thriving partnership, the Rushcliffe Dementia Action Network, with over 40 groups and organisations represented, meeting quarterly to collaborate on actions to support those affected with dementia. The network has established a Green Memory Cafe at Rushcliffe Country Park, and last week hosted a very successful marketplace event here during Dementia Action Week.
Imagine everyone living and working in this beautiful borough of Rushcliffe, working together to become a dementia-friendly community.
In the reality, we've linked with local businesses and the parish councillors to offer information and advice on how they can best support people living with dementia.
Imagine being able to stay as independent as possible.
The reality, we've been promoting the international Hidden Disability Sunflower Initiative, which enables people to discreetly make others aware that they may need more time, support, and understanding.
And finally, imagine we in Rushcliffe being able to inspire other areas and to share our learning and our resources.
And the reality that throughout the project, we've had a focus on sustainability and scalability, and we've been sharing best practice, information and resources with other areas across Nottingham and beyond.
We've asked you to use your imagination, and then we've given you some real outcomes from our project. But this momentum needs to continue with these initiatives for them to build and become embedded in our community. So we hope we've inspired you, and we want to invite you to pause and reflect on what your role could be as an individual, a family member, a Rushcliffe resident, a councillor. How can you promote this agenda of living well with dementia? What opportunities are available to you? Where can you use your influence so that momentum can be maintained? Let's work together to make Rushcliffe an even better place to live. Please do come and talk to us both after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, for the thought-provoking comments that you've made. Thank you. Do you want to take a seat? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Apologies for absence, Gemma?
No. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have apologies tonight from Councillor Phillips.
Thank you. Declarations of interest? Anybody interested? No? Okay, thank you. We now move to item 3, to approve as a correct record the minutes of the meeting of the council held on 7th of March 2024. Councillor Clark,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A pleasure in moving those minutes.
Councillor Brennan,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to second the minutes.
thank you very much. All in favour? Yeah. Anyone against? Or abstentions? No. Thank you. I declare that the vote is carried. Right. Ooh. Now then, item number 4. Got my little scribbly note. Ooh. Ooh. Right. Now it says the address of the retiring mayor, and I'm retiring, so there we go. I have to say it's been really interesting, and I've really enjoyed it. And I have been asked to be mayor for a number of years, and I've always said no. I'm so pleased that I eventually said yes. It's taken me 25 years on the council, but I have thoroughly enjoyed every moment, even our meetings here, some of which have been more lively than others. I won't mention all the things that I've actually enjoyed because it would take far too long and you'd all be asleep. But I did really enjoy the lark in the park and all the other things that happened in the park in West Bridgeford. Things happened all over the borough as well, but to see thousands of people in that park enjoying themselves was an absolute delight, and all the children and everybody, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And that has been one of the things that has been sort of throughout the year, has been the children and the young adults that I've met, all at different times and in different ways. Some like the firework display and the children there, and the photo that we had of them all sort of standing there looking up at the fireworks in awe. And I thought, this is really something that the borough does well. And I was very proud to be the mayor. There was the civic dinner, which is very formal, enjoyable, and was very interesting. And I was pleased that it was with volunteers this year, because all I got back was how much they had appreciated attending the civic dinner. Mike Cox at the back there, ex-councillor in one of the very early times. Well, you did speak quite a while. I think it was an hour, but it was the most interesting thoughts about how we had formed as a council. It didn't just happen. There was the start of it and the beginning, and it was really, I thought it was really very interesting from that point of view. There was the award ceremony where we give out the awards to all the deserving people in the borough. Some who never have been acknowledged, that they are actually doing something really worthwhile. So I was pleased to be able to go to that. I didn't like the steps going up and down, though, onto the stage, because there was nothing to hold on to, and I'd got very high heels that night. But perhaps the next mayor may not have that problem. I got my red shoes on. I thought, ooh. Anyway, it was a lovely. That was really nice. My civic carol service was lovely. And one of the things that I have noticed over the last year is that I have also been supported by the members on my left-hand side as well. And you have come to things which are non-political. All of it that I go to is not political. I haven't been able to be political when I've been out. And so I have really enjoyed meeting all of the opposition as well in a more casual setting. So if I may say that, I think that was really good. When I'm talking about young people as well, we had something called the Youth Summit, and 2 schools came, teenagers came, and it was very insightful. And I think Councillor Polenta, you were there, weren't you? And there was a few other councillors, and Councillor Brennan Clark, and quite a few others. I thought it was good for them to see who makes the decisions and helps to form the decisions. But it was also really interesting. The ones on my table, and there was a lot on my table, were all very, very anti-vaping. And I thought that was amazing because I didn't realise how they felt about that. There was proms in the park, which was exciting because at the same time I was attending a test match. So I went to open proms in the park, and then I ran up to the Trent Bridge, watched part of the test match, and then came back and finished proms in the park, which, you know, was exciting. Anyway, the weather has been on and off, and I've been either a bit wet and a bit dry, and then absolutely soaked. But another thing that I just wanted to say as well was rainbows, and the work that is done there. Technically, it's in Loughborough, but a lot of people from, and young people from Rushcliffe go there and are looked after, and there's respite given to the families. And I did enjoy that because it made me realise I have been before, but it's been a while. It was a while ago. Sawboat Club, I'd like to thank them because on Sunday it was my birthday as well as their birthday as a club, and I had a little cake and a candle. That was very nice. But one of the main things that has happened to me is the Chinese dinner that I organised, which was very successful and raised quite a bit of money. And I would like to thank Councillor Regan, who donated his restaurant and some of the entertainment as well that he paid for, and has been very generous. I would like to thank him very much for what he did and helped me. I think there was 90 odd people there, so it was very well supported, and the food's pretty good, if I may say so. No, I have enjoyed it. I could go through all sorts of other things, but I won't. But it is mainly young people, children, and also just the happiness that is brought to when we have organised some of these things has been really, really tremendous. So thank you for that. Just quickly to say, I would like to thank Flight Lieutenant McLaughlin and his cadet, who's sitting somewhere on the back row. And thank you for your support and all that you've done to help me. I'd like to thank Adam Moat, who's been my driver who's also, you're all sitting at the back. Oh. And thank him for driving me most of the year. He wasn't able to due to ill health for the last few months, but I have appreciated him getting me there. And my husband, Terry, who sometimes struggles with walking and things. looked after us very well. Right, but thank you all for giving me your support. And must say, I think you've been quite well behaved on the whole. So well done. Thank you. Okay, now then, yes. Now I've got to thank various people that have been pointed out to me. No one less than my husband. He's sitting on the front row, which is helpful. I want to thank him very much for his support that he's given me over the year and helped me and kept me in line. Well, I've kept him in line as well. So, and to say thank you to him, and because he can't walk very well, I've got to just quickly run to him. So, thank you very much. Now then, Bronwyn. Oops, sorry.
All right.
Now we come to Bronwyn, who's been my chaplain and is the Reverend Canon Bronwyn Gamble, who's also sitting on the back row. Would you like to meet me halfway? I have a little something to say thank you for your support and all that you've done. Now I know you're not so keen on having your photo. Neither am I. Look at me, I've had it all year. But I thought that was lovely. Oh, thank you. And thank you very much. I shall come and check. Right. Is that it? Yeah. I've said everything and told everybody and congratulated everybody. Thank you. Right. Well, it's nearly the end. Right. I now go to the vote of thanks for the retiring mayor. I'm doing a lot of retiring. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Mayor. And yes, are you shy in retiring or just retiring? But have you finished dashing about? You've done a lot of dashing up and down. Anyway, I would like to propose a vote of thanks to you for a very successful year as Mayor of Rushcliffe. And as every Mayor of Rushcliffe always becomes an extremely good ambassador for the borough. You've been no exception. You have proved an excellent ambassador and you've been attending all these events, some of which you highlighted, and I'll shortly be presenting an album to you, which gives you a record of some of the events that you did attend. You mentioned children's events, but the album shows that you attended a whole range from children to war veterans. So the whole range of people. And as you say, Terry and on occasion some other consorts have accompanied you to all these events. So very well done for that. And your charity, Riding for the Disabled, does feature a lot in the events that you have attended, and the photographs show that. And you've had a very successful time raising money for Riding for the Disabled. When you attended the civic dinner, when you first joined the council, I bet you didn't think that you would end up appearing or being highlighted on the scoreboard of Trent Bridge. At the civic dinner, the mayor was welcomed to Trent Bridge by a big message on the scoreboard. You mentioned the Chinese dinner, and you have also a photo of the musicians, which played extremely well there, and it was a thoroughly enjoyable evening. But it just shows how diverse and how varied the events were, because you also attended Althorpe and a memorial service to the American servicemen at Langer Airfield as well, prior to D-Day. But what you have done is you've done a lot of raising of flags of one sort and another. You always seem to be at a flagpole raising one somewhere or another, as the photos do show. But I'm sure that one of the main highlights is when you met and spoke to His Majesty the King at the Royal... Oh, yes, King Charles told me personally. Yes, the Mayor met and spoke with the King, and that must be one of the highlights of the year at the Royal Garden Party. So without further ado, Madam Mayor, in congratulating you and thanking you very much for being such a successful Mayor, and indeed, of course, having a calming influence on the events in council meetings as well, which has always been very useful. But if you would like to stand up, I will present to you some various things. First of all, I'll present you with the album, which shows all the events that you have attended. Most important thing of all, as part of the member of the Rose Gallery, this is the portrait that will appear on the gallery of mayors everywhere. So we have another one already wrapped. There we go. Your past mayor's badge, because you're about to be a past mayor. And finally, as a token of our appreciation and thanks.
Thank you.
Some flowers.
Thank
So,
you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Do I keep hold of those? Thank you. Right. Okay, thank you. Now then, we go on to... Oh, yes, I know. Yeah, yeah. And now we're going on to Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations on a successful year. The Labour Group would like to thank you for all you've done and the hard work you've put in this last year. As we reflect on your year, we're reminded of the fundraising contributions that you've made to your chosen charity, Writing for the Disabled. Not only did you raise loads of money for it, but you raised its awareness throughout the borough, which can't be underestimated. The role of mayor is an interesting one because it endeavours to show the human touch and the ability of this council to connect with people on a personal level. Councillor Mason has shown this, and she's connected with the people of Rushcliffe in her own unique, warm style, as well as with her dog Dexter, who has been warmly welcomed at events. So thank you for your heartfelt dedication to the borough. It embraces our spirit and our belief in its residents. And thank you for chairing our meetings fairly. And we look forward to debating you in the future. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Rowan. Councillor Rowan. Yeah. Councillor Bird. Yeah. Okay. Councillor Bird.
Thank you very much, Debbie. I fully understand what it's like to stop being mayor. We met at Flintham ploughing match, if you remember, and had a wonderful day there. And I thank you for all the work you've done and what you've done for Rushcliffe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What I've liked about your year is that you've always looked so happy and pleased and enjoying yourself in all the photographs. And I hope you have enjoyed yourself. I'm pleased that you found the council meetings lively. And I'm sorry if we were too well behaved for you. It's always been a Madam Mayor since I've been on the council, so I'm going to have to get used to calling Councillor Brown something else. Thank you very much for everything.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Councillor Malinder.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And as has just been said, it's been a very, very long time that we're going to have to get used to saying Mr. Mayor. I hope that we all manage to do that, but we might not. And I hope you'll forgive us, Councillor Brown, when that happens, which is bound to. It's been many years. Thank you so much for all that you've done this year for the Borough of Rushcliffe and all the people, and all the charity work that you've done. It's been absolutely marvellous. I particularly enjoyed the singing from Plumtree School at Christmas, and when you were presenting the Rushcliffe Awards, particularly to Nicola Brindley, who from Tara's Angels, with her services to survivors of domestic violence. We were pleased also in Lady Bay, particularly that you presented the environmental group of the year to our own Friends of the Hook. And one of your first events that you went to was, of course, the Lady Bay Open Gardens. So we hope to see the following mayor to Lady Bay Open Gardens as well very soon. Thank you very much for all you've done, and I certainly know how it feels, although my years were not as exciting as your one. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Birch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'd just like to thank you for your good humour and for your fairness when chairing meetings. You've done a lot of great work for raising money for your chosen charity as well, and thank you for that. We wish you well in the future, so thank you. Thank
you very much. Thank you. Right then. Oh, it gets nearer. Are you ready?
Just about.
Oh dear. Right. Now we come to item number 6, the election of the mayor 24-25. We now consider nominations for the election of the mayor of the Borough of Rushcliffe for 2024-25 civic year. I am inviting any nominations for the office of mayor of the borough. Councillor Rex Walker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and may I have my own brief words of thanks to you as outgoing mayor on a job most finely done. I particularly enjoyed the frequent sense of good fun that you've brought to our proceedings. I'm delighted to be proposing that Councillor Andy Brown be elected as mayor for the upcoming civic year. Particularly delighted to have been asked again after the experience of nominating Andy to serve as your deputy last year. That earned several rebukes from fellow members, including Andy, for the poor quality flying-based puns littered within the nomination. So I promised Andy no more pilot gags. Now, apart from being a fellow Gotham ward members, Andy and I share a love of the fine sport of rugby union, with Andy a devoted follower of Leicester Tigers. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Here comes the rugby material. But Madam Mayor, fear not, because if you've heard one rugby pun, you've heard them all. You'll know, of course, that our sport prides itself on doing things properly. Core values are teamwork, respect, enjoyment, discipline, and sportsmanship. These are all values that I see in Andy, and all of them directly relevant to serving as our mayor. As good luck would have it, I can personally testify to Andy's strengths as a teammate. We work closely, and I would say very well together on ward matters, and I've been very grateful for how he has propped me up steadfastly. You missed them all one at the beginning. I'm distraught about that. during recent challenging times. Andy certainly goes about his business respectfully, avoiding needless scrums, treating everyone with kindness and courtesy. I'm continually impressed by his ability to genuinely listen to people's issues and concerns, empathise with their circumstances, tackling any problem on their behalf with a steely determination. You'll be aware that Andy is currently in the second half of his political career, having initially represented the Sutton Bonington ward for 8 years from 2011 to 2019, and also the Soar Valley County Council division from 2013 to 2021, before being re-elected to the council last year in what could be described as a last-minute conversion. Many of us have noticed that the half-time interval has served to re-energise and reinvigorate Andy, and I know that he's really enjoying being back serving the community that he loves. All those hours watching rugby have instilled in Andy the importance of controlling our endeavours, even in the heat of battle, and being honest and fair. Well prepared then for presiding over our council meetings firmly yet fairly. The last value, sportsmanship, underpins them all. A tradition of camaraderie with teammates and opposition alike, observing fair play on and off the pitch, playing to win yet recognising endeavour. If elected, I know that Andy will approach the job with these things in mind, having fully understood both the privilege associated with the office and the corresponding duties involved. Andy will be a fine ambassador for the borough, the council and our communities. You try and stop him.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Barney? Yes.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and many congratulations on your year, and also acknowledge that we've got many other former mayors in the room this evening as well. But my attention turns to my friend, Councillor Andrew Brown. Now, most of you probably be aware that he spent many years living in Eastleigh, but Andy was actually not born in Nottinghamshire. He was born in South Africa. But as I said, well, it was him that told me that. Oh, you lived there as a child. Forgive me. Forgive. But it's only details. Let's get to the important bits. He has truly lived in Eastleigh for many years. That bit is definitely not made up. But for most of his working career, he served as an engineer, and that time as an engineer has taken him around the world. It's in fact in your role as an engineer that I first got to know you over a decade ago. But in more recent years, in a willingness and a desire to spend more time in your community and with your family, you set up your own successful driving school. And in fact, 2 of my 4 children have learned to drive thanks to Andy's driving techniques and his accomplishment as a driving school instructor. As well as this, Andy Brown is also an accomplished pilot. And that served him very well, actually, locally in our community in his role over many years on many occasions on the local ICC at East Midlands Airport. And I also serve on the ICC. And I can tell you that Manchester Airport Group have no flies on Andy Brown when it comes to aviation matters. He's able to bring his detailed knowledge and understanding of aviation to that arena. But I think above all, I know Andy is a man who has a sincere love of his community. And he's a little bit different from a lot of politicians that I know in that he truly is a conviction politician. He's a man of great conviction who will always speak his mind. And sometimes, to me, in ways I possibly don't want him to. And as Rex alluded to, of course, he's served faithfully as a councillor. And on both of his former roles, I've managed to somehow scoop them up and try and take on his mantle, albeit not as professionally. But as well as all of those things, Andy also is an accomplished DJ. Now, his DJing skills go back to the 1960s, where he DJ'd, I believe, in some of the clubs of Nottinghamshire. But more recently, he's also served as the voice, the well-known voice of local community radio station Hermitage Radio, serving the good people of Colville and North West Leicestershire. And I can tell you he's done a lot of good work for charity in his role as a DJ. And talking of charity, I want to turn for the second time in 1 week, to Andy's wife, and indeed his wider family who are here this evening as well. Andy's 2 daughters, Leah and Diana. I believe your grandson Luke is here as well, Andy. Sylvia is a remarkable person. She is a person that hates the spotlight on her. And she was furious when I singled her out in the county council chamber last week for her incredible work. She's just completed a parachute jump for the chairman's charity at Nottinghamshire County Councils, where she's raised hundreds of pounds for the NSPCC. But Sylvia is a woman of incredible fortitude, and Sylvia, I know, has been through some very difficult times in her life, and she has overcome those difficult, incredibly difficult challenges with grace and humility. But she's no shrinking violet. And for anybody that's ever traveled in the car with Sylvia, you will know that she is the German heavy metal rock band Rammstein's #1 fan. If you want to hear them, just drive into Kegworth and listen to the Donington Monsters of Rock. Both Andy and Sylvia, of course, passionate Tigers fans. Now, Sylvia, I'm wanting to know how you're going to match your incredible act of kindness for the Chairman of Notts County Council and what charitable act you're going to do for Andy. And I'd like to suggest that you don't take up what Andy did in firewalking. And I notice we've got Nigel and Caroline here, the former landlord and landlady from Sutton Bonington King's Head. You'll recall Andy's famous firewalking evening. Oh, yes, I did that. Well, indeed. Andy proved his incredible aptitude for firewalking at that event. And the guy who was leading it and was so encouraged by Andy's performance that he got him to do it not once, not twice, but about half a dozen times. Was it 2 weeks you spent unable to walk after that, Andy? But just to close, recognise that, Andy? So, John, I believe in a few moments' time you might be joining Andy by his side. And if you need to tame Andy, you need to bring him in line. I found this always works, particularly when accompanied with a wee dram of whiskey.
Thank you for the advice.
So, Andy, I wish you the very best in this role. May you serve it with great humility. May you be impartial in your decisions and act in kindness. I wish you the very best. And Sylvia, I hope you also enjoy the year. I'm pleased to nominate you for the role of Mayor of Rushcliffe Borough Council.
Right. Are there any further nominations? If none, then all in favour that Councillor Brown be elected Mayor of the Borough of Rushcliffe for 24-25. Yeah, unanimous. So do I go through any against or abstention? No. Okay then, well.
We're going to stand up now.
Oh, I declare that Councillor Brown has been elected as Mayor of the Borough of Rushcliffe for 24-25. I was trying to rush it then, sorry.
So, Councillor Andy Brown, Mayor Andy Brown, can I ask you to read out your declaration of acceptance of office, please?
I, Councillor Andy Brown, having been elected to the office of Mayor of Rushcliffe Borough Council, declare that I take the office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Well, good evening, everybody, especially to the past mayors present and to my invited guests. First, I would like to pay tribute to Councillor Mason for the past 12 months as mayor. And Debbie has worked extremely hard and will be a very hard act to follow.
All your manage.
It's a great honour and privilege to be elected to the office of mayor. And may I thank Councillor Rex Walker and Councillor Matt Barney for nominating me and those kind words they said about me. It is my intention to visit all corners of Rushcliffe, meeting as many of its residents as possible over the next 12 months. This year, Rushcliffe Borough Council are celebrating 50 years as a borough. The district was formed on the 1st of April 1974 under the Local Government Act 1972. The new district covered the whole area of two former districts and part of a third, which were all abolished at the same time. They were Baseford Rural District, Bingham Rural District and West Bridgeford Urban District. The first mayor of Rushcliffe was Councillor Jim Swanwick. I was first elected to this council in 2011 and I've seen many changes, but some of you here this evening no doubt have seen even more. I also welcome the former member, Mr. Mike Cox, and also former twice mayor, Marie Males, who served 40 years here as a councillor. And as a former member of the Air Cadets, it gives me great pleasure to announce that this year I've invited 209 Squadron West Bridgeford Air Cadets to be the Mayor's Squadron, and Cadet Sergeant Thomas Freeborough as the Mayor's Cadet. A warm welcome to him and his commanding officer who sit down there at the back this evening. And I look forward to working with them over the next 12 months. And my chosen charity is SAFA, which is the Soldiers, Sailors, Airmen and Families Association. Why SAFA? Well, whilst on holiday last year, I met a former para named Chris Lewis. Veteran Chris from Swansea in South Wales left to walk the entire UK coastline to raise money for SAFA in August 2017. Chris, a former paratrooper, struggled to cope with life on Civvy Street after leaving the parachute regiment and finding himself homeless. The walk took him 6 years, and en route met his partner who joined him on his walk. They had a baby, so now there were 3 plus dog walking the coastal paths of Great Britain. They lived on donations given to them en route and slept in either a tent or accommodation offered to them by generous people that he met along the way. On meeting Chris, I only had 80 pence in my pocket and apologised, but promised that I would make a bigger donation to SAFA at some point. Chris went on to raise £500,000 for SAFA. The SAFA support covers both regulars and reserves in the Royal Navy, the Royal Marines, the British Army and the Royal Air Force and their families, including anyone who has completed national service. They know and understand the unique demands of service life, whether in the UK or overseas, and in times of need, they help to enable the forces family to thrive. Addiction, relationship breakdown, debt, homelessness, post-traumatic stress and depression, and disability are all issues that can affect our members of our armed forces community. Many of these problems only become apparent when an individual has to leave their life in the forces and join Civvy Street. SAFA is committed to helping our brave men and women overcome these problems and rebuild their lives. This evening, I welcome members of the Nottinghamshire branch of SAFA, and they have a small stand in the foyer. So please, whilst having a glass of something after this meeting, please have a look at what they do. I will be launching a raffle in the next few weeks with some fantastic prizes, kindly donated by businesses within or related to Rushcliffe. For example, one prize is a weekend break for 2. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank businesses who have donated prizes so far. And a full list of the donors will be published when we launch the raffle. Some great prizes there to be had. The average value of each prize is a 3-figure sum of money. So there's some good stuff there to be had. And finally, at the beginning of each full council meeting, I will be continuing with a moment of reflection, but we'll be inviting a speaker from local charities or groups to speak for a few minutes on what they do within our community. Now and finally, a few members have said to me that since being on the council, they have only known lady mayors and addressed them as Madam Mayor. to their full council meetings and might forget. The last 5 mayors have indeed been lady mayors. A warning, members, anyone who does forget will be asked to make a donation to my charity. This will also include forgetting to put your mobile on silent. Thank you. Right. Just give me a moment to find my place. We'll continue on with the meeting. So we move on to item number 7 on the agenda, election of Deputy Mayor. And I'd like to invite nominations for the office of Deputy Mayor for the borough for 2024 and 25. Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations and well done. And I hope you have a really good year. I'm sure you will.
Thank you.
I'm delighted to nominate my friend and colleague, Councillor John Cotty, to be your deputy mayor. John grew up on Mapley Plains in Nottingham, and then aged 9, his family moved to Widmerpool, not so many years ago, of course. He attended West Bridgford High School and Nottingham High School, where his early skills and taste for sport started by playing cricket, rugby, and cross-country running. And I'm sure that he wasn't running away from school. After leaving school no levels, he decided to go straight into the world of work in a textile mill, where he started working in the cellar, then into a laboratory testing the yarns that they produced. And one of their biggest customers was Pretty Polly, you may remember them. In 1979, he and his father set up a small business, Cotty Fibres, and purchased some of the textile machines that he used in his previous job. And after his father retired in 1996, he took over as chairman of the company where he was joined by his brother. In the mid-1990s, he moved to Weissel, becoming active in the village, running the youth club, DJing, another DJ, and working in the plough. That's working in the plough for 10 years, not drinking. And he was co-opted onto the parish council, where he became chairman and started his political life. And in 1999, he was elected onto Rushcliffe, although chose not to stand again in 2003 because of business commitments. He stood again for Keyworth ward of Rushcliffe Borough Council in 2007 and has held the seat since. And he's been cabinet member for communities and vice chairman of growth and development committees. As mentioned, John is passionate about sport, enjoys playing squash, cricket, and his favourite sport is football. And he's been involved with football since 1971 and became heavily involved in developing the sports ground in Keyworth by working with Keyworth United Football Club, applying for grants of over £2 million for the development of the ground, clubhouse and the 3G pitches. And he's also chairman of the Platt Lane Management Committee and is now chairman of the Keyworth Sports Association. John has a lovely family and is married to Lorraine, who is a teacher. He has 2 daughters, Kimberly and Nicola, who I understand are relishing and looking forward to supporting John in his duties as Deputy Mayor, Kimberly and Nicola. And he also has 2 granddaughters, Lola and Ayla. So, Mr. Mayor, as I say, am delighted to nominate Councillor John Cotty to be your Deputy Mayor of Rushcliffe Borough Council for 2024 to 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Do we have a seconder for this? Councillor Inglis.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wish you all the success for the future and congratulations on your new post. Thank you. So I'll fully endorse the previous comments from Councillor Butler. So, John Cotty, where is he? Oh, nothing new there. Right, I've always thought that John is like a Chippendale within this council, but not the half-naked, bow-tied Don Adonis. But it's a classic piece of old and valuable furniture. And whether Mrs. C would confirm whether it's got bow legs and 4 feet, I don't know. It seems to be been around for a long time. And I'll say, as a professional councillor at both the borough and the county, and he's probably held all the scrutiny positions at Rushcliffe, including his time on the cabinet. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank him. It was all down to him that I'm standing here today, because it was solely John's initial encouragement and persuasion that convinced me to stand 9 years ago. But on reflection, perhaps not, as he did con me by saying, you only have to attend around 5 meetings a year, so it won't impact too much. Were his unique selling points and closing convincer. Well, John, that was over 250 meetings and engagements that year. So seriously, John will be a great ambassador to the civic role as Deputy Mayor and future Mayor, hopefully. I ask that we all support him for this eminent position, as it's also important to recognise and now reward him for his dedication in representing his community, and that is very well known within. His vast experience, knowledge and passion for this honourable role are valuable and necessary assets to ensure great support for the Mayor. So I really have no hesitation in supporting him for this role and wish him the very best. And now I can get some revenge in ensuring his diary is now even greater loaded with all the extra meetings and engagements that comes with his new responsibilities. And I do think next year the full council could be very interesting, as Richard alluded to, that the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor are DJs. Thank you.
Smashing it nicely. Thank you. Are there any further nominations? Okay, all in favour that Councillor Cotty be elected Deputy Mayor of the Borough of Rushcliffe for 2024-25, please show your hands. Unanimous. I declare that Councillor Cotty has been elected as Deputy Mayor of the Borough of Rushcliffe for 2024-25. So, John, if you'd like to come up to the top table, please. Oh, thank you. Well done, mate. Right. Okay.
Councillor Cotty, Mr Deputy Mayor, can I ask you to read out your declaration of acceptance of office, please?
Thank you. I, Councillor John Cotty, having been elected to the office of Deputy Mayor of Rushcliffe Borough Council, declare that I will take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it in according to the best of my judgment and ability. I thought it moved then. Okay to say take it speak, yeah.
Helen, could you just get Councillor Cotty's card?
A DJ with no microphone. Should we start with a song? Yeah, why not? Thank you. I'd like to thank the meeting, the members, for entrusting me with the role of Deputy Mayor of Rushcliffe Borough Council, which I am honoured. I'd like to also thank Councillor Richard Butler for proposing me. I'm not sure about the seconder, but I'm sure he will get his own back. So I will do my best for the Borough of Rushcliffe and for Rushcliffe Borough Council, and I will be happy to help and support the chairman throughout his year. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cotty, and congratulations to you. Thank you. Now we move on to item number 8, which is the leaders' announcements.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations on your election. And I hope you do have a successful year. Congratulations to Deputy Mayor as well in your election. I'm sure you will have a very successful time. Two things, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I'm very proud to announce that we recently won the East Midlands Council's Award for Leadership at the recent annual Council Challenge event. A team of 6 staff competed against 15 other councils, taking on the role of the council's senior leadership team for the day. They took on various challenges and came out victorious in the Leadership Award. So the winning team comprised Paul Taylor, Nicola Wells, Mark Needham, Tiff Freeman, Michelle Rudkin and Luke Kolaluka. So congratulations to them, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to refer to your comments you made about the celebration of 50 years of this council and indeed most of the councils around the country, when in 1973 the law was passed to change the organisation of councils, and in 1974, I hope this wasn't an omen, but it happened to be the 1st of April 1974, Rushcliffe Borough Council formally came into being, and as you had has already mentioned, the merger of those 3 councils. So we've been celebrating 50 years, but it didn't start here. It started, in fact, well, Bridgeford Hall was the main HQ, but also offices were in what's best described as, well, a prefab shed, basically where the co-op now exists on Bridgeford Road. But the council was based at Bridgeford Hall until 1982, when, in fact, we moved to and bought the what was called the Civic Centre, the curved building on Trent Bridge, and we moved there in 1982 until 2017, when we moved here to these splendid premises here. But during that time, we had various leisure centres opened. The golf club opened in 1981, and I'm very pleased that there are many former councillors here, former mayors, and indeed 2 former chief executives, Keith Beaumont and Alan Graham, are here as well. So it's very nice to see old friends still being able to come here and enjoy the meetings, as I'm sure they will. And it's really good that Rushcliffe has regularly been in the top 10 of best places to live in the country, and indeed has been actually voted the best place on occasions to live in the country, which is a great accolade for everybody who has either worked or been councillors over all those decades. I do remember when I was first elected in 1986 in the former council chamber, and when I first walked in there, all you could see was smoke, and you could see the councillors puffing away on cigarettes, cigars, and pipes. And I do remember a former mayor who is sadly no longer with us, but she came and put her arm around me and said, "Now then, you'll just want to sit at the back for 2 years and not say anything." Well, first meeting, hand up, and there I was up and running. So things have come quite a long way since those times, and lots of rules have changed and lots of characters have changed as well. But for our guests here, visitors, if they hadn't already noticed, there is actually an exhibition and display outside in the foyer, which gives some of the details of the council's history, and they may well wish to look at that when we have broken after the meeting. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Clark, thank you very much. Chief Executive announcements, if there are. There's no announcement from the Chief Executive, so we move on to item number 10 on the agenda, appointments of committees and member groups 2024-25, and Councillor Clark again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The membership of the committees, etc., are laid out in the item, and I'll merely formally move that those be accepted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And can I offer my congratulations on your appointment yourselves and the Deputy Mayor? I'm happy to second this paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody want to speak on this matter? Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations to you both. Yeah, the Labour Group would just like to take the opportunity again to formally minute their objection to the fact that the leader's relationship with the chair of the Corporate Overview Group, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. That's noted. Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Clark, do you wish to respond?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. There you go. First one.
That's the first £10 in the tin. So all those in favour? Anyone against? I declare the vote carried. Item 11, approval of timetable of meetings 2024-25. Again, Councillor Clark to move.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The timetable is set out in the paper. There will probably be one amendment, the June the 27th Council, which following yesterday's announcement, it will probably not take place now because of the general election, and that will have to be rescheduled and re-timetabled. But apart from that, I'm happy to move approval of that timetable.
Thank you. Councillor Brennan.
Thank you. Yes, I'm happy to second that.
Anybody else wish to speak? So go to the vote then. All in favour? Anyone against? Abstentions? I declare the vote carried. Move on to item 12, which is the appointment of representatives of outside bodies 2024-25. I'm going to hand the reins over to my deputy, Councillor Cotty, as I'm one of the nominees for the appointment on the East Midlands Airport.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm to announce that there are 3 contested appointments. Item 5 in that agenda is the Nottingham East Midlands Airport Independent Consultative Committee, which has 1 seat but 3 nominations. Number 12, Rural Communities Action for Nottinghamshire, which has 1 seat but 2 nominations. And number 13, Friends of Rushcliffe Country Park, which now has 1 seat but 3 nominations. Councillor Clark to move the appointments set out in the report, with the exception of the contested appointments 5, 12 and 13. Councillor Clark to move.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. And as you've indicated, I move the non-contested positions en bloc. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brennan to second. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to second that.
Councillor Clark to respond. Nothing. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't looking. I have to learn, won't I? Yes, we'd like to speak.
Thank you, Councillor Vice Mayor. Sorry, thank you. Yes, I'd like to just make it formally note that one of the consequences of what I consider to be the undemocratic nonsense of a 3-councillor ward is that Abbey Ward only has one representative on the LAF, West Bridgford LAF. Now, I know we're going to talk at the LAF about this, but I just want it to be noted that this is not right.
Okay, thank you. That's noted. Thank you. Right, to move to a vote on 5 Nottingham East Midlands Airport. Sorry. Oh, I'm learning. Right.
So everyone in favour.
Everyone in favour, thank you. Thank you. Anyone against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay. I declare the vote carried. Thank you. So we are now moving to 5 Nottingham East Midlands Airport Independent Consultative Committee. I will ask you to vote for each candidate in turn. You have one vote only. All of those in favour of Councillor Brown, please show. Okay, thank you. All those in favour of Councillor Calvert? All those in favour of Councillor Thomas? Thank you. So I've been advised that the Councillor Brown is elected with the most votes. Thank you. So next is to move to the vote on 12 Rural Community Action for Nottinghamshire. I will ask you to vote for each candidate in turn. You have one vote only. All those in favour of Councillor Grocott? Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Inglis? I declare that Councillor Inglis has the most votes. So, Councillor Inglis, you are elected. To move to the vote 13, Friends of Rushcliffe Country Park, I will ask you to vote for each candidate in turn. You have one vote only. All those in favour of Councillor Gaunt? Thank you. All those in favour of Councillor Wells? Thank you. I declare Councillor Wells is elected. I pass over back to you, Mr. Mayor, on item 13. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cotty. We move to final item on the agenda, item 13, the appointment to the monitoring officer role. Find my place in a moment. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as you've indicated, this relates to the appointment to the monitoring officer role. Gemma Davis is leaving the authority, and I'd just like to record our thanks for your help and your work for us as in the role of monitoring officer. So sorry, I meant Gemma Dennis. Sorry. Thank you very much for that. So as you can see in the report, interviews have taken place. There was a competitive interview process, and as you can see, the successful applicant was Mrs. Sarah Pragan, and therefore the recommendation is that Mrs. Sarah Pragan is appointed and designated as the Council's monitoring officer for or from the 26th of August 2024. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I also add my thanks to Gemma for her support over the last period of time? It's been much appreciated and very wise counsel. I would also like to second the recommendation for the appointment of the new monitoring officer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Brennan. Anybody wish to speak? Councillor Walker.
Thank you. The Labour Group would also like to say thank you, Gemma, for all your work and wish you very much luck in success in the new council. We'd also like to welcome Sarah Pergan to Rushcliffe. Look forward to working with her as well. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Birch.
And we'd like to place on record our thanks to Gemma as well. Very, very professional, very, very helpful. So thank you.
Councillor Mallender.
Yes, on behalf of the Green Group, thank you very much for all your excellent work over the years, and we'd like to record that. No, thanks, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Way.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'd just like to record our thanks to Gemma for all her help for us, and she has been our link officer over the last year, and we've really appreciated everything she's done for us. Thank you. Wish you all the best.
Anybody else wish to speak? In which case, we'll go to the vote. All in favour? Unanimous. Anyone against? Abstentions? I declare the vote carried. That brings us to the end of the meeting, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for your patience of all our visitors this evening. I'm going to bring the meeting to an end, but the Chief Executive would just like to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just to welcome all our guests and invite you, when we've left the chamber, to head back into the foyer area where there will be some refreshments available for you. You can have a look at the exhibition that's already been mentioned, while we just rearrange the space in the room here, and then we'll invite you back in for some more refreshments, and hope you will enjoy the time that you've got together this evening, meeting old friends and catching up with former councillors, mayors, chief execs. So that's the arrangements for the next stage of the evening. Thank you very much.